My Hero Academia chapter 359. Today we talk about Bakugo's injuries. We also explain the significance of the business class filming the fight against Shigaraki, and how the footage could be useful in the near future. It could be a red herring with which Horikoshi, the creator of Boku no Hero Academia, wants us to believe that the true purpose of these recordings is to produce the greatest heroes. But in reality it's about something completely different. And we also talk a bit about the strategy the heroes will use against Shigaraki after both running away and attacking failed. If you end up liking this video, consider subscribing. Please enjoy this video. Let's go! The new My Hero Academia chapter starts with a color page and of course the Shonen Jump cover, so let's take a quick look at it for possible foreshadowing. Starting with the cover page, we can see All For One in his prime form, with all the old injuries he received in his first fight against All Might fully healed. So it looks like our theory that All For One might return to his prime might actually be true. And god damn, he looks cold as hell. Now let's move on to the color page. It's a nice double spread with a bunch of characters. It's really hard to get a sense of foreshadowing as there's a lot going on. What stands out is that Endeavor is missing an arm, which makes sense because he lost his arm.
Well, duh.
Stupid! What's even more interesting is that Bakugo's arm isn't shown either, and as we saw in this chapter, Bakugo's arm is actually broken, so maybe this is a foreshadowing that Bakugo might lose his arm. But so far it just looks like a broken arm, so it has nothing to do with a decay quirk or anything like that. But let's see how this will develop. The actual chapter starts with the students of the business course inside the UA structure filming the fight. At first glance this may seem like a fairly unimportant piece of information, but when you think about it, something so unusual at the moment like the last war must be extremely relevant to the further development of the plot. Why else is something so boring shown if it doesn't have a deeper meaning? Horikoshi wouldn't just show random people filming the battlefield if it didn't have a greater purpose in the future, so what could that be? Let's take a closer look. One of them wonders if this is really the right time for a documentary, but they say that this was used against them in the past war. And that's exactly our question in an abstract form. We're asking why the hell Horikoshi is showing something like that, and they are asking why the hell they are doing it. So that's pretty much proof that it's important. They say that W used it to manipulate public opinion through filming and speeches, so now it's the time for them to go on the counterattack. After all, the mission of the business course is to produce the best heroes. At first glance that might be the point, because it's the final story arc and the final battle of My Hero Academia where Deku and probably Bakugo and many other become the greatest heroes of Japan and possibly the world. But you can't become the greatest hero if there's nothing for people to look back on and remember why those heroes are so great. Take for example the famous footage of All Might with the kids on his back that Deku watched 300 million times. Those are the things that make a hero famous. A true top 10 hero needs that kind of publicity. And obviously Bakugo is just getting the material for the first time that will make him a legend at his young age. Another possibility is that the recorded material will be used in a later chapter to analyze something specific about Shigaraki, to find out some kind of weakness. So it could be used to discover, for example, an advantage for the heroes or to solve a certain problem. In literature, this writing technique is called a red herring, where the creator tries to mislead us, for example by making us believe that this documentary is supposed to produce the best heroes, but in reality this footage will be used very soon by the headquarters to discover something relevant to the plot. Let's see where this will lead. Then we see the scale of Bakugo's new technique, the Howitzer Impact Cluster, which even goes beyond the barrier. So it's a crazy attack that could even destroy the whole area. But Kaminari reminds everyone that Bakugo is a pretty careful guy even if he doesn't look like it. He definitely thinks about what's best for everyone, and that's nice to hear. I think it's great that Class 1A is standing up for Bakugo, protecting his image, supporting and trusting him. And that's not a given considering how Bakugo used to be, but now I even have the feeling that Bakugo has taken something like a leadership position in the class. The first time I had this feeling was when they were searching for Deku and Bakugo was acting like the leader of the group. And now in this fight it feels like Bakugo has taken something like a leadership position within the group again. But of course professional heroes like Genis and Aizawa are clearly on the top of the leadership here, but I think you know what I mean. Bakugo gives the feeling of having taken a high position among the heroes, in terms of trust and respect. This shows what kind of hero Bakugo will be in the future, someone people will look up to and someone who will take a leadership position. I can imagine him having his own agency like Endeavor, a huge building and Bakugo in this huge office as a grown, serious man. Of course, number one hero. But unfortunately, Bakugo is not in the best shape at the moment. His mask is torn and the right side of his face is badly injured, and who knows, he may even be blind on one side. Looking at this injury, it occurred to me that if the time travel theory of the second use of One For All is true, it would be a great indication if Bakugo were to receive a similar scar on his face as the second use of One For All. So seeing Bakugo now have an injured face is an intriguing thought. However, it does not look like it's the same type of injury. Bakugo's face looks burned and the first One For All user's injury looks more like a slash. So let's see where this goes. In any case, it's a nice thought. Right now we can't say anything about this injury. What we do know is that Bakugo's arm is broken because Shigaraki managed to grab his arm and just crack it like it was a potato chip. We already talked about this at the beginning of this video, so let's move on. Shigaraki knows that Bakugo concentrated the blast so as not to affect the surroundings too much, which fits what Kaminari said. Bakugo was always thinking of his comrades. He didn't try to hurt them and destroy their plan. He even put himself in danger to keep everyone safe, knowing that he would only hurt himself in the process. In any way, he sacrificed himself for the cause in order to defeat Shigaraki in All For One. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out the way he might have expected. Shigaraki isn't too impressed and tries to finish Bakugo off for good. At that moment, Genis and Mirko try to come to his rescue. But it doesn't help. It looks like Shigaraki and All For One have the upper hand in every possible situation. If things continue like this, there won't be a happy ending, that's for sure. Shigaraki and All For One say that the heroes were naive to think that fighting his body would bring them victory. This is because in the previous chapters they tried to find Shigaraki's body in the mass of body parts he created. They believed that the destruction of his main body, which is the center of his life, would end this battle. To be honest, even though that may be true in theory and is actually quite obvious, it was kind of primitive to think that it would work that easily because they should all know how strong Shigaraki's body has become after all the transformation he has gone through. And then Bakugo even held back his true strength to protect everyone, which was definitely heroic, don't get me wrong, but you just can't beat Shigaraki like that. It was just a useless attempt and the victim is Bakugo because of his naive attack. Of course it's better to attack than to do nothing, but it's no use if you can't use enough force to hurt Shigaraki, otherwise you would be putting your comrades in danger. Instead, Bakugo simply hurt himself as a result. They won't be able to defeat him if they hold back, but if they don't hold back, they destroy the barrier. This is a fundamentally wrong approach. Of course it's understandable everyone would have done the same thing at that moment, but this was important for the development of the fight because now they have understood that neither attacking nor running away is the solution. Instead, they have to protect everyone until Deku arrives, as we will see at the end of the chapter. Shigaraki clearly reminds them that this is not the moment to play any games. He then does his move, creating a huge shockwave that knocks the heroes away, and then walks towards Bakugo again. The fact that Shigaraki and All For One seem to favor Bakugo a bit over everyone else could be a small sign of recognition that Bakugo is a worthy opponent. As I said, Shigaraki and All For One have themselves realized that Bakugo has been holding back to protect the other heroes, and so they know how devastating his attack could actually be if he had given it his all. That's why they need to get rid of Bakugo as soon as possible, because right now he might be the only one who could stop them. But that's not the only reason, nor is it the official explanation given in the chapter for why Shigaraki is focusing on Bakugo. He said that Bakugo could be useful for him because he's very close to Izuku Midoriya, probably to lure Deku to him by holding Bakugo hostage. He knows this because the villains have taken Bakugo hostage before, and that time Deku came to save him. This is an indication that at this moment All For One has spoken. Aizawa asks if Mandalay has received any news from Deku yet. She says no, suggesting that Izuku might be in trouble right now as he fights those mysterious beings we saw a few chapters ago. But that's not the only reason. She says that the electrical waves are acting strangely outside the barrier as well, and that she hasn't heard anything but noises for a while. This could be due to one of the villain's quirks that interferes with all transmissions. It wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened. In the USJ arc, the villains were able to cut off all communication between the heroes and Class 1A. Perhaps there is some sort of connection between the two events. Something we missed at the time that could be uncovered in a few chapters as to why the communication isn't working. The way the situation is currently unfolding could mean that the heroes just thought they had the upper hand all along. But in reality, All For One was always prepared for any possible outcome. Just as All For One explained, he has many different ways to get to his final destination. And it can't be mentioned enough, given the nature of All For One, another traitor close to Deku or All Might is always possible. Even though Aoyama is the traitor from the youngest generation, that doesn't mean there couldn't be a traitor from all the generations, especially the generation that worked closely with All Might. The scene then cuts cuts to the big three who are ready to protect everyone as long as Midoriya is not present. This highlights that the heroes have realized that fighting Shigaraki just won't work at this point because he's too strong, as we have mentioned before. With the arrival of Deku, they can then pursue their actual plan to probably save Shigaraki, with Deku confronting Shigaraki in the shared realm of One For All and All For One with his deepest wish to be saved by a hero. And that's it for today, not much to add to this review. We are approaching the climax of the battle against Shigaraki. Let us know in the comments what you think of this new My Hero Academia chapter. If you want to see more Boku no Hero Academia content, subscribe to our channel with the notification bell activated. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye!